in a stunning and unexpected turn of events that has sent waves of both hope and apprehension across the globe. The high stakes peace talks in Istanbul have concluded not with a final resolution, but with a foundational agreement to pave the way for what could be the most significant diplomatic summit of the 21st century. After days of intense and secretive negotiations hosted by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Russian and Ukrainian delegations emerged with a signed document, a framework of principles designed to de-escalate the conflict and set the stage for direct talks at the highest level. The centerpiece of this agreement is a commitment to a four-person summit to be held in August, bringing together Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, United States President Donald Trump, and President Erdogan. This development marks a dramatic shift in the conflict's trajectory, moving the focus from the battlefield to the personal diplomacy of four powerful leaders who will attempt to hammer out a lasting peace. The agreement forged in Istanbul, which diplomatic sources are calling the Bosphorus framework, is not a peace treaty itself, but rather a detailed roadmap with several critical components. The most immediate and tangible outcome is a limited ceasefire set to take effect within 48 hours. This is not a comprehensive cessation of all hostilities across the entire front line, a goal deemed too ambitious for this stage. Instead, the ceasefire is geographically specific, creating a corridor of calm along a 100-kilometer stretch of the most intense fighting in the eastern Donbass region. This zone will be monitored by a newly established Joint Control Center in Istanbul, staffed by senior military officers from Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey. The agreement calls for a complete halt to artillery, drone, and missile strikes within this corridor, as well as a freeze on all ground offensive to allow for a cooling of tensions and to facilitate the agreement's other humanitarian clauses. Perhaps the most significant humanitarian breakthrough is the agreement on a comprehensive prisoner of war exchange. The Bosphorus framework commits both sides to a full all-for-all exchange to be completed before the August summit. This has been a deeply emotional and political sensitive issue for both nations. The process will be overseen by the International Committee of the Red Cross, with logistical support from Turkey. For countless families in both Russia and Ukraine, this clause represents the most hopeful news in years, a concrete step that will bring their loved ones home. The successful implementation of this exchange is seen as a crucial confidence-building measure, a test of each side's commitment to the new diplomatic path before their leaders meet. The core of the agreement, however, is the deferral of the most intractable issues to the August summit. The framework explicitly stated that the final status of Crimea and the other four territories annexed by Russia is the primary and most difficult questions to be resolved, and that its resolution can only be achieved through direct negotiations by the head of state. This clever diplomatic maneuver allows both sides to claim victory in Istanbul. Ukraine can state that it did not concede any territory, while Russia can assert that the status of these regions is now on the agenda for discussions with the President of the United States. Similarly, the thorny issues of Ukraine's potential neutrality and the nature of future security guarantees have been passed up to the leaders' summit. The framework established two separate working groups to prepare options for the August meeting. One group focused on Ukraine's security will explore various models, ranging from NATO-style collective defense to specific guarantees from a select group of nations. The other working group will draft potential language for a neutrality clause that could be enshrined in the Ukrainian constitution, a key Russian demand. The reaction from the United States was one of triumphant vindication. President Donald Trump, who had campaigned on his ability to end the war, hailed the agreement as a direct result of his personal intervention and a new American approach to foreign policy. In a televised address from the Rose Garden, Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared the Istanbul Agreement a historic success. For years, the world watched this tragic conflict unfold with no end in sight, Rubio said. President Trump's leadership, his willingness to engage directly and break from the failed policies of the past, has created this incredible opportunity for peace. The upcoming summit is a testament to the power of American diplomacy when it is guided by realism, strength, and a clear focus on American interests. We are not aiming for a temporary fix. We are aiming for a real lasting deal that will bring stability back to Europe and allow the world to focus on shared prosperity. This optimistic message was carefully balanced by a tone of caution from the Department of Defense. Secretary Peter Hegseth confirmed that the United States and its NATO allies would be closely monitoring the new ceasefire zone with all available intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets. A piece of paper does not guarantee peace, Hegseth stated in a Pentagon briefing. We welcome this step, but our posture will be one of trust but verified. Our force in Europe remain at a high state of readiness, and our commitment to our NATO allies is unwavering. We will judge the sincerity of this agreement by actions on the ground, not by signatures on a document. This dual approach reflects the administration's strategy: pursue a bold diplomatic settlement while maintaining a strong military deterrent to prevent any party from taking advantage of the situation. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's office is said to be working around the clock, providing President Trump with detailed psychological and political profiles of the other leaders and assessing the internal pressure they each face ahead of the August summit. The economic implications of the breakthrough were immediate and profound. News of the agreement sent global markets soaring. Oil prices dropped significantly on expectations of reduced geopolitical risk, and stock markets in New York, London, and Tokyo all posted strong gains. Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent remarked that a potential end to the conflict would be the single most effective tool against global inflation. The economic uncertainty and supply chain disruption caused by this war have been a drag on the entire world economy, Bessent noted. A durable peace would unlock immense economic potential. Adding to this, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick has reportedly already been in contact with Turkish and United Nations officials about expanding the Black Sea corridor. The Bosphorus framework includes a clause to begin talks on allowing all commercial shipping, not just grain, to move freely through Ukrainian ports, a move that would further ease pressure on global supply chains and food price. For Russia, the agreement was framed as a major strategic victory. Kremlin spokespeople emphasized that for the first time, their core security concerns about NATO expansion and Ukraine's military status are being addressed at the highest possible level. With the American president directly at the table, Russian state media portrayed the deal as a failure of the West's strategy to isolate Russia, highlighting that the United States has now shifted from arming Ukraine to actively brokering a peace that will have to take Russia's interests into account. The prospect of a four-way summit elevates Russia's status and affirms its role as an indispensable global power, a central goal of its foreign policy. The prisoner exchange is also a significant win for the government, providing a positive story to present to the Russian public. Ukraine's President Zelensky has a more difficult path in selling the deal to a varied but defined population. In a national address, he presented the Istanbul framework as a courageous step toward a just peace, not a capitulation. He emphasized that the ceasefire, even if limited, will save Ukrainian lives immediately. He held the prisoner exchange as a sacred duty fulfilled. Crucially, he stressed that he has not given up a single inch of Ukrainian land and that he will go to the August summit to negotiate. Crucially, he stressed that he has not given up a single inch of Ukrainian land and that he will go to the August summit to negotiate from a position of strength. With President Trump at his side, I will sit at the table with the aggressor, but I will not be alone, Zelensky declared. I will have the support of our powerful partners, Turkey and the United States. We have created a new format where Ukraine's voice will be heard and where we will fight for the return of our lands and all our people. This is not the end of our struggle, but it is a new and hopeful chapter. President Erdogan and Turkey are being lauded internationally as the primary architect of this diplomatic breakthrough. Turkish television channels have been running non-stop coverage, celebrating Erdogan's role as a master statesman who succeeded where all others had failed. By maintaining open channels to Putin, Zelensky, and Trump, he was able to create the conditions of trust necessary for the Istanbul talks to succeed. The August summit, set to be held in the Turkish resort city of Antalya, will further cement Turkey's position as a pivotal power, a bridge between East and West. For Erdogan, this is a monumental foreign policy achievement that enhances his standing both at home and abroad. However, the reaction in the rest of Europe is far more complex, a mixture of relief and deep-seated anxiety. In Paris and Berlin, government officials expressed cautious optimism, welcoming the de-escalation and the renewed focus on diplomacy. They offered their full support for the process, but in Warsaw, Riga, and other Eastern European capitals, there is palpable fear. Leaders in these nations, which border Russia, are deeply concerned that President Trump, in his desire to secure a quick and dramatic foreign policy victory, might pressure President Zelensky into accepting a peace deal that undermines Ukraine's long-term sovereignty and security. They fear a grand bargain struck between Washington and Moscow over their heads, one that would effectively create a Russian sphere of influence in Eastern Europe and reward aggression. Their diplomats are reportedly working frantically behind the scenes to ensure that their voice and security concerns are heard by the Trump administration before the August summit. As the world processes these diplomatic earthquakes, all eyes turn toward August. The challenges ahead are monumental. The personalities of the four leaders could not be more different. Trump, the transactional showman; Putin, the cold and calculating strategist; Zelensky, the wartime leader embodying national resistance; and Erdogan, the skillful host navigating between them all. The core issues of territory and sovereignty, which have fueled more than a year of brutal warfare, remain unsolved. Billions of dollars in assets seized by the West, process overseen by Attorney General Pam Bondi's office, are still frozen. The Bosphorus framework is a fragile first step. Its success depends on the fragile ceasefire holding, the prisoner exchange going smoothly, and the willingness of four men to find a compromise where, until now, there has only been conflict. The Istanbul talks did not bring peace, but they did deliver something that has been in short supply, a clear, albeit perilous path toward it. Many of my listeners, like 70%, haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, and so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed, and that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to So Kane Rich, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first one's on me. But if you have watched this show before, it's like you are a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.